Welcome back, folks. This is episode we don't know yet, but we got a great guest. We recorded so many episodes right now. We'll figure out where it falls. But what's going on, Walt?
Nothing much, man. I'm excited for today's guest
Yeah,
and
me too.
interested in talking to him and then talking about his service and product,
Yep.
software, and seeing what that's all about. How about
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm excited. I've been just like all payroll all the time. I've been studying doing the pay train course to get ready for the test and man, we're doing so much. We got a few projects going that we're excited about, and just yeah, man. No, I'm good. Somebody said something recently that was like, oh, don't you get tired of it? I was like, nah, if you do what you love, right? You don't, right? I finally kind of fell into that groove where
yeah,
that saying is, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
yeah, it, I totally agree with that sentiment, right? This payroll has allowed us, especially now, to just dive all into our
Mhm.
creativity,
Mhm.
to all the different skill sets that we have and stuff like that. Instead of just doing the day to day transactional
Transactional stuff, yeah.
like it's good to be able to use your brain power and do different things or go down different avenues. So I totally share that same sentiment, man.
Yep, yep. I just started reading Max's book, Global
Yep.
Payroll Manager Playbook.
Mhm.
I went to Amazon last night and was like trying to aggregate all the payroll books that are out there that I want to read. And what I noticed is that the good ones are not in the top search, which
Mhm.
yeah. So what I think we should do is kind of well, I can tell you right now. Shoot, I'm actually that this will be my around the pay horn for today. Why
Good.
don't you go first while I
Oh,
pull this up because you got
okay.
something ready. Yeah.
Yeah. So mine was just basically about this church employee, a Lutheran church employee in Maryland. The name of the church is called St. Paul's Lutheran Church. And from it's a church and school, rather. And from December 2024 through February of 2025, this employee was the payroll coordinator and ended up was being accused of stealing more than $10,000 from the job.
Through payroll or
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
wow. Did they say how they did it?
So basically, she was adding additional funds to her paycheck and hiding those transactions in the before and after school payroll accounts.
Interesting. Okay.
Mhm.
So it's funny you say that because one of the books I found on Amazon
Mhm.
is a payroll clerk's secret to easy money, ghost employees inside the mind of workplace thieves.
Wow, that's funny.
So it's a book out there, yeah, that I put on the list here. We also one of the friends of the show, Ashley, sent me an article about a really good payroll crime. I gotta send this. Like our next payroll crime needs to be about this case. Like
Yeah.
it was big money, and the person got arrested on overpayment. So is that it's definitely a lot to talk about because I don't know for sure if the person should have gotten arrested on basically the company's error. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Now, but it's a good debate because it's like where does the company error end and the employee's negligence start? Like the employee malicious
Yeah.
start, right? So
Mhm.
we can dig into it. Thank you, Ashley, for sending that. It's a really great, good case, and of course, unfortunately, a
Yeah.
Florida person,
Florida,
um,
man.
Florida woman in this
A
case,
woman.
but yeah, so what I wanted to share and what I really got annoyed about was the good books that folks are putting out there in the payroll community are not at the top of the list in Amazon when you search payroll books.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of whack. And there's gosh, there's a few of them that are not even on this list because this is the ones I want to buy, not the ones I already own, but the ones that I already have are out the gate. Anita Latank, How to Choose Your Next Payroll. Then it was, and she has two more books after that. One
Yeah.
is about pay transparency, and another one is about a pay slip, like kind of teaching folks about what their pay slip should look like and be, and
Yep.
all those things. And then Bart, of course, Bart Vanderstorm's Payroll Minds book, and then most recently Max
Yep.
Vanderklees Booslink, um, the Global Payroll Manager's Playbook.
Uh-huh.
And I found a few other ones, that
Yep.
payroll clerk, that ghost employee thing, true payroll
Yeah.
crime thing I just found. Found another one that says payroll, a guide to running an efficient department. And this is by
Mhm.
VM Lambert, who I
Yep.
believe is Vicky Lambert, who is definitely a teacher, a mentor. Like she's I don't know what the word is, like official, voice of payroll, and she's been doing it a
Mhm.
long time. So that's I'm interested in that, but it's really expensive. Those I don't know when that's going. Then there's another one because I think it's more of a textbook type of deal. But I'm
Mhm.
curious to see. Then there's another one I found also, again, true payroll crime
Yeah.
driven, and it's a payroll to meet, a story of greed, corruption, and football at SMU.
Wow, man.
Yup. And
Okay.
then let's
Cool.
see, there's a few more. Mastering payroll, paying wages, withholding deposit, and reporting taxes, correct use of government forms. So that's that one's Deborah Salem, another authority. Maybe that's the good word, authority, payroll authority in the industry,
Mhm.
just like Vicky Lambert. Deborah Salem is also one of them. And then another friend of the show, Christina Hagney, has a little the CYA Guide to Payroll and HR. It
Yep.
looks like she's kind of writing it under a pen name, so but I know who you are. Um, and then I found another one called like the SHRM Essential Guide to Employment Law Handbook, HR Professional,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. Another one about an employment essential guide to federal employment law. So that's more on the textbook side. And then the last one that
Mhm.
I think is newer to the game is the value of payroll, turning your biggest cost into your biggest asset, and that's by Haley Patterson.
Nice.
That's I think that's fairly recent as well. And if y'all know any of them that I missed, please let me know because I feel like
Yeah.
I got my finger on the pulse of the books out there, but could be missing some.
And
But yeah,
and you
that's
and you want all books, whether they're, textbooks or just
yeah, interesting. Like textbooks
okay.
are easier to find,
Okay.
but I am more interested in the payroll professionals and influencers out there that are putting content out.
You wanna hear their story. You wanna
I
hear
wanna
their
hear
story,
their
their point of
story. I
view.
wanna Yeah, absolutely. The textbooks are easy. These I found 'cause I'm studying and I'm like, "Oh, this looks interesting. This looks interesting." But
Yeah.
I the intent of my list was for those one-offs that are falling down in the book list.
Yep.
Like, Anita Latink's was, like, down in the pages, and I'm like, "Oh, man, this Bart's I couldn't even see. I didn't even get to it at that point." Max's was up in the top, but maybe because it's more recent. So I wonder, like, what also gets you to the top of those pages on Amazon search,
Mhm.
something for authors to keep in mind in payroll, like, trying to get that stuff done. But, yeah, man, I think that, rounds about my payroll horn.
Nice, man. Any updates for financial fitness? Anything you wanna touch on really quick before
I mean,
your intro?
I think we spoke about it before, just us being I made the update to our website on,
Yep.
business owners need to be conscious of what you're spending, especially,
Mhm.
when you're bootstrapping it and, need to pay attention, right? Like we changed our website cost and saved a ton of
Yep.
money.
Yep.
'Cause initially we had started out with, and I think it was basically because of the video that we thought, well, we did put video behind the scenes at one point, and
Yep.
it didn't play out the way we thought, and then we're like, all right,
Yep.
off with that, and
Yep.
but then like fast forward, I was like, wait a minute, the renewal's about to hit, and I was like, wait a minute, I feel like that's a lot for what we had currently.
Yep.
And sure enough, it was because we had a different package
That
that we don't really need.
that's a good lesson for the payroll pros listening, not only for your personal finances, but think of it from the think of it from a lens of as far as your payroll system that you use, right?
Mhm.
Are you paying for a bunch of
So
bells and
funny. I was
whistles
just gonna s yep. I was just yep,
that
go ahead.
that are that you're paying for that you're not using, that you could just like kind of just like end for a little bit
Mhm.
or turn off
Turn
and
off.
save some money?
Yep.
Just think about those things, or you could find a way to use them, right? And utilize those services.
You bring up you were right on the vein because I was just gonna say, "Hey, also, we wanna start," especially in this show, is telling payroll pros little tips on how you can save your company money because
Mhm,
they always talk about, "Oh, payroll is an expense, and is an expense, and is an expense,"
mhm,
but there's a way that we can be cost savers, money savers for our company, right?
mhm.
Like I've said many times, we're not the fiduciary responsible, but we play a fiduciary responsibility to our company.
Yeah.
And especially if you're stepping into a new role at a company and the legacy system in there for a while, you want to ask for like get in touch with your salesperson, get in touch with the billing and all that, and put all the pieces together to see if what you're paying for is it itemized? Is it bundled already and you can't break it apart anyway? Or is it an itemization that you can break apart? You
Mhm,
know, recently we found a few things at our company that we didn't know we had. We weren't using it. We didn't
mhm.
need it. Boom, instant savings.
Wow.
So we
There you
wanted
go.
to, yeah, that's something to call out to payrollers, and we'll continue to do that. But now we got our amazing guest, John Lee. How you
Hey,
doing,
Brian, how's it
sir?
going? Good to be here and nice to be with you guys, huh?
Nice
Yeah,
to meet you,
welcome.
John.
Yeah,
Welcome, John.
good to be here. All set for the weekend?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, for
pretty
sure. What
much.
about you?
Good. I got a date night with my wife Dee. We're going to local sushi restaurant. I mean, you guys,
Yes.
I don't know if you have if there's one meal you could have, what would it be? For
Ooh, it's
me,
a good question.
it's gotta be sushi. Sushi.
Oh,
Awesome.
amazing.
There
How
you
about you?
go.
Amazing.
How about you guys?
Um, that's a go. I think I'm a big seafood fan also.
Mm.
Probably it would be a good seafood dish as
Oh,
well.
we got great seafood dishes over here near Lisbon. I mean, it got the Atlantic coast beside us. So obviously, I'm from Ireland. Great seafood in Ireland as well.
Yeah. Also, so for me, it'd probably be like a pasta dish. I love a good
Pasta.
Really?
pasta
Yeah.
dish. Yeah. Yeah,
Really? You
man.
got
I love it.
we gotta go to Boston then. There's a spot in Boston that I went to that had the best seafood pasta dish that I ever had in
Wow,
my
man.
life. The
Oh,
best pasta. The seafood was good, but it was a little hole in the wall that's probably been there 100 years. Um, but yeah. So John, please allow me to introduce. We have John Lee, CEO and co-founder of Work From Anywhere. Welcome to the show, the podcast where we dig into the stories and systems and strategies behind modern payroll. Today, we're thrilled to have John Lee with us, and he's with a groundbreaking platform helping companies manage the payroll tax and compliance complexities that come with remote work across borders, right? And John's career journey is a global as it gets. He's a chartered accountant, and correct us if we're wrong, right? Who led senior finance roles at multinational companies, previously co-founded Cultural Me and an
culture me.
award
That's it.
Culture Me,
Yeah.
okay, an award-winning intercultural communication platform. He's lived in over 60 countries. What? Speaks 6 languages and brings a deep understanding of global workforce and what it takes to pay people properly wherever they are. With Work From Anywhere, John is building software that bridges the gap between employee flexibility and employer responsibility, whether it's managing permanent establishment risk, calculating remote tax obligations, or navigating social security rules across the countries. His team is making global remote work actually work. So let's dive in, man. Tell us, did we get that right, John?
Yeah, exactly. So, how many countries have I lived in? I've lived now in this stage. I've visited over. 70 countries with my wife. I've lived in the Netherlands, I've lived in Germany, in Thailand, in Ireland, in Portugal,
Wow.
and we've yeah, amazing experience. I have to say we've kind of found home here in Portugal. We really love it.
That's
Wow.
amazing. Where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Ireland, from
Okay.
Limerick, and
All right. Now I hear it. I
yeah,
hear it now. Yep.
yeah. But it's funny when you go back to Ireland, the accent comes on thicker when you're
Oh, of
there too.
course. Of course. That's how it always.
It's
When I go back to New York, same thing.
funny story.
Forget about it.
When I moved into my first big corporate role with a company called CRH, and we were like, involved in conference calls with people around the world, and I was involved in a lot of them. And for the first couple, people were like, "Got this," because we speak a million miles an hour. I think for non-native English speakers, they struggled a bit. So I learned the hard way in the first couple of months to slow it right down.
Gotcha. Awesome, guys.
So take us into it. What's the story? What inspired you to launch Work From Anywhere, and how did your experience in finance and travel fuel this?
Yeah, so for me, the inspiration was I had been a digital nomad on and off myself in my life, and I was lucky because I had a personal story of being on and off digital nomad, but I also had the personal story of working in corporate, doing a lot of business travel, but being able to blend work and leisure. And how I did it in the corporate world back in the day is in my early part of my corporate career, I used to work in an internal audit function for 2 years. And what we did was we would go on maybe a 4 week audit. We'd always try, and rather than flying back to Friday or flying back to Monday, we'd always try and pick at least maybe a weekend or two, or we would stay the full weekend to kind of explore, peel back the onion of the local culture, that people explore the city. And don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, I mean, cement factories can be the most exciting places, but
Yeah,
you
exactly.
do get some pretty cool places as well, or even that are nearby. So it's my kind of inspiration back in the corporate career of blending work and travel. But I also love to travel myself as well. So then you reverse it back to 4.5 years ago when we started Work From Anywhere. I could see that, let's say, remote work, domestic remote work, work from home was going to be something that was never going to go back to the way it was. It had shifted, and I could see it had shifted straight away. I was going to shift. And for me, then the next question was, well, okay, could we make this work internationally across borders? Initially, I remember going into some big companies at the time, especially the pharmaceutical companies that kind of risk averse. They said this is never going to work. It can't be done. It won't work. Too many compliance risks. And so, what I set about building was actually building a framework of how can you do this in a policy, but then what about the technology to actually assess these compliance risks, which was a pretty tall order. How could you build a compliance engine with all the payroll, tax, permanent establishment, social security, employment law, right to
Hmm.
work, immigration rules in one place? But we did basically build it. We have it now for 94 countries
Wow.
all around the world. Some of the biggest companies in the world are clients. We've got partnership with Mercer, one of the biggest HR companies in the world, Fragment, one of the biggest immigration companies in the world, and some pretty exciting announcements to make over the next couple of months. So for us, we're very privileged to have taken a big problem, created something that can enable flexibility for international remote work.
Hmm.
But the thing that makes me proudest is the stories you hear from individuals and how it is on their lives.
Amazing.
Awesome. Awesome. So you touched on the compliance piece a little bit,
Yeah.
right? So from a compliance standpoint, what are some of the biggest compliance mistakes that companies make when it comes to letting their employees work across borders?
So you see two extremes. Larger companies very often saying, no, this is not possible. We're just not going to allow it.
Mhm.
And therefore, they run into, they might be good on the compliance risk there, but they're actually weak on the business risk of actually losing talent. So, yeah, risk has a two-sided coin in this case. But then the other side, you see startups, scale-ups that very ultra flexible. They let people work wherever they want, and then all of a sudden, they're now exposing themselves to major compliance risks. And so, the kind of sweet spot is being able to thread and walk the line between allowing flexibility to a number, like going into a restaurant, a certain number of countries, and having the right technology to assess the risk for each of those scenarios. Because every scenario is, if you have that in place, you can get it done. You can make it happen. And talk about those individual stories. One of the ones I heard recently was there was a really wonderful story. Somebody who wanted to work back in visiting sick grandparents. I hear that very often from our clients, that's a
Yep.
sick relatives, people that are very close to their family abroad. And that's very, very special to be there with them. But turning it around, one of the things I heard recently as well was a story for somebody who wanted to join a pharmaceutical company. They joined them and they said, listen, I've actually got a sick grandparent in South Africa. Can I go and visit them? And they said at the time, no, because you don't have enough PTO. You've got to wait 6 months. And in the meantime, their grandfather died. And that really hit
Mm,
because
mm.
I was super close to my grandfather. So that was a difficult one. But I think you look at it, like they're the moments that we can create this legacy in HR and payroll to rather than like instinctively saying no, if we say, well, okay, how do we get to yes? And what does yes mean
Hmm.
to our employees?
Like,
Thank you for sharing that, Brian. You want an excellent.
yeah, for sure. So, how does your software help payroll teams handle the multi-country taxation, withholding, things like that, and
Yeah.
obligations?
Well, there's a couple of angles. The first thing is that they're all interrelated. So what you find is, for example, when you're looking at this, sometimes when people traditionally get a request like this from employee, they either say, no, it's too much work. I don't have the time to research the risk, or maybe go to external tax advisor, for example, and it might take a week or a couple of weeks and a lot of money to get an answer.
Hmm.
What we've done is created a platform that you put 10 very quick answers. It takes less than 20 seconds to input it. And 20 seconds later, sends this to our proprietary algorithm, and it then gives a dashboard that shows people immediately, somebody looking to go from the US to Mexico, what are the payroll tax risks, the permanent establishment risk, social security, employment law, and is there a digital nomad visa, or should we use an employer of record? What
Wow.
about the right to remote work? And not just giving you the risk, but it tells you, okay, how can you mitigate it? Give a link to the double taxation agreements, or maybe the certificates of coverage if there's a social security agreement, or we tell you what is allowed under the right to remote work, things like that, for example. So, very proud of what we've achieved, and it's quite unique in the market. But again, I think that's kind of the key challenge. You've got all these risks being pulled together and knowing what to do next.
Yeah, I love it. Walt may have had some internet trouble, but we're good. Yeah. So with that, does it and is a good one. Like, let's say you get somebody, pull them in, good.
Yep.
We're working, got somebody. Does the system let you know that something new came up in their country that could impact?
Yeah, so what we do is we do provide via newsletter major updates that are happening on a regular basis. We also have feature and country updates added to it, and people are made aware of that within the platform. The big thing is that you need to be able to know the risk at the time of the assessment. And so the kind of things that we collect for information is looking at, for example, how long somebody is going for. The longer they're going will increase the risk. We're looking at the role that they have. Certain roles are more riskier than others, for example, like senior, like sales decision makers, for example, very high risk establishment. But you also need to know the inherent risk of the country you're going to. Some countries are very big for certain risks, like India is very big for permanent establishment. France, for example, for payroll tax. Every country
Oh,
has a
wow.
particular risk that might be very big. And you need to
Mm,
know which are the risks. Because even if a country is good for maybe three out of the four risks, if the fourth one's a big issue, well, hold on a second, we're not going to be comfortable approving it. You also need to link that then to your own company risk appetite. So
right,
I think we've also see like some, let's say, industries or some companies are very risk averse, and
right.
they want to be able to tweak the platform to reflect that kind of conservatism, and others are maybe
Oh,
much more relaxed. So you kind of have three things. You have the inherent risk of the country, you have the dynamic scenario inputs of the days, the role, things like that, for example. But then
yeah.
you also have the company risk appetite. They all kind of blend together into the algorithm to give you a weighted average
Very
response to know what to
interesting.
do. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And I remember when you showed me that bit of a demo, I really loved it. Can you give like a kind of broad stroke of how it would work for an HR payroll person going into the system and
Yeah. So what happens is that with all our major clients, what happens is that they already have a payroll system and maybe a HR system, be a Workday or Success or something, or they might have their ADP for their payroll.
yep.
What typically happen is employees will submit a leave request. There will be a new leave request created for an international work or work from anywhere request. And so they will send that into the system, and they'll first of all send it to their manager. And their manager, if they reject this, it will stop there within their Workday or ADP or SuccessFactors. But if it then gets approved, it will typically then go to local HR team or payroll team, or it can also go to a global payroll team. What will happen is they will run this through the platform, and literally within 20 seconds, they'll get a traffic light response. And if it's green,
I remember that.
approve.
Yeah, remember
If it's
that.
red, we're going to reject it. And if it's orange, okay, let's dive into it.
That's the yeah.
So let's say the local payroll person gets an orange, they'll send it up to the global payroll or subject matter expert or global. They will then run deeper into it. We then provide links to legislation, for example, to explain why the risk is low, medium, or high. And then after that, you can then
Amazing.
maybe work cross-functionally and go from there. So the beauty about it is that it's very user-friendly. When we built this, I really felt that we would be getting requests from people, questions all the time. But we rarely get requests, despite having literally so many, let's say, searches in the platform every month. We barely get any people coming in because it's so clear and user-friendly what the issue is and what to do next.
Yeah. You know what it is? I mean, the folks that are using the system are used to reading they're used to the type of information. It's just for most of us, it's hard to get it,
Mm.
right? And you're serving it up. So that's the hard part is finding the right information. And so the fact that you make it so easy, man, the job is done there. Boom. I got it. Now I understand what they're saying and I
Yeah.
can make my decision. Now you said something about the systems. So that was the next question. Does it integrate with all systems?
We don't do integrations right now. We're
That's
purely
right. I
plug and
remember.
play.
That's
So
right. I
what we
remember you said
found
that.
is, yeah, every other player in the market does what you would call an oil tanker integration, where you have to create like an ERP outside an ERP, create all these
Yep.
hierarchies and maintenance, and send a developer team in with your payroll team for months. Whereas we found there's actually a really sweet spot. Probably 95% of companies are actually looking for a speedboat, that they want to be able to just have something that can really assess the really
Yep.
riskier requests, basically, and save them from going to their their external tax advisor. We don't completely replace tax advisors. There'll still be
No, no, no.
extreme cases where you'll still
That's
want to
right.
go, which is fine. But we reduce it by 80-90% the amount of time
Ooh,
it's going to go externally. So you can imagine the cost saving there is
heck
pretty
yeah.
serious. But again,
And
that's typically how they come and use it.
so, and you said something interesting as well before I pass the next one to Walt. You said an employee will make a leave request. Is
Yep.
this only for that scenario, or can it also be used to recruit in a new country?
Yeah, so you can do the two things. So the first
Or
one
okay,
is that an employee wants to work temporarily, let's say in Belgium for a few weeks or
right,
Mexico or wherever it might be, for example.
right.
And that's one where it's a kind of like a benefit. And it's a big benefit, by the way. I mean, employees are
Hmm.
really experiencing, I can share the data later on the reduction in attrition. It's one of
Oh,
the huge
wow,
benefits. It's actually one of the top three employee benefits whenever it's launched in any of the clients that
Wow.
we've worked with. It's huge. Yeah, it's absolutely huge. The second one is hire from anywhere. Hire from anywhere is where, okay, let's say we're a US company, we want to hire an engineer in maybe Indonesia. We found a great talent there. How do we even engage? Do we need to open up a legal entity? Do we need to use an employer of record, or even just
Hmm.
look at an independent contractor?
Hmm.
That's where we play in that space, where we provide a platform that tells you straight away what the risks are and what the operating model is. And that's a huge blind spot. Some people
Oh
don't
yeah.
know, well, can I use an employer of record, for example? Sometimes it's too costly, it doesn't make
Hmm.
business sense.
Yep.
Wow.
Sometimes basically what you find is for permanent establishment risk roles, you should never use an employer of record. You won't be covered. Whatever they might tell you, you won't be covered. And then the last piece of it is you might find sometimes where there's certain countries where they don't even allow employers of record, despite the fact they operate there, kind of in a gray area. So in those countries, do we want to be using that model? Probably not. But then likewise for contractors, some countries like in the UK, they have a thing called IR35, very risky to engage contractors in the UK. Big issue.
Hmm.
Understanding which model to use in which country, hugely, hugely important. So we kind of help guide the decision making so that you can understand, okay, I want talent in this country. How do I do it? What are the
Wow. I remember when I did global. Sorry, Walt, before real quick. China was tough to get employee. Does it work with?
Well,
Does
it
it work?
is. Yeah, yeah. So again, it's one of the things you find. For example, take China is data privacy and security is clearly one issue amongst many, and so understanding that and how to navigate it. You see in the case of China, the a lot of the regionalization of different provinces and having
Hmm.
different flavors of in some cases different risks. So, but
Mm.
that's why the complexity. Some countries, for example, have more like a unitary structure approach to their laws, whereas others have much more of a federalized approach where it depends where you are. Like in places like Spain, Italy or in the US, for example. Different states have different approaches to it. So in those kind of countries, if you're going to one of those countries, you need to be aware of that before you either hire or let somebody work there, and
Yeah.
know that hey, if something happens here, we need to watch out here because we're walking ourselves into a landmine.
Yep.
Wow.
Love it.
Wow. In terms of being strategic and as far as leadership, right? What do you think global leaders need to start doing now in order to prepare for the continued rise of distributed teams?
Well, first thing is people in payroll and global mobility do not have a place in the table, and the reason they don't have a place in the table is they do not collect the data. They're not able to build a business case. Many of them. And if
Hmm.
we're advocates of believing in payroll and first place to start, from everyone, all of the leaders we're speaking with, is the leading innovators in this space within companies. They start collecting the data, because I'll give you an example. Amazon. I spoke with them literally about a year and a half ago,
Oh wow.
and literally after they had mentioned and brought in their 5-day return to office, I spoke to some of the leaders within their team there, and they were um, they were really impressed by the advocacy I was talking about measuring, collecting the data, and measuring ROI. And they said they were gutted because if they wished they had done this, they would have been able to make a business case for retaining their work from anywhere. And again, work from
Wow.
anywhere is not work from wherever you want. It's not like work from North Korea for 9 months. It's like, this is the menu of countries for this up to this number of days, and we're going to use a tool to assess it, and that's how we're going to do it. But what was interesting is the companies that are measuring it, what are the data they're seeing? Well, in the case of Spotify, they had a 50% reduction in attrition a year after they launched their work from anywhere. A more recent one, Mercado Libre, which I love. We talk about AI. This is a
Mhm.
beautiful use case of AI. What did they do? They looked at the benefits they were offering, the employee benefits that was being requested. Then they looked at the gap. Why were people leaving as well? There were certain segments, certain business units, certain roles. They were seeing a high attrition rate. Why is this? Obviously, a huge amount of data, almost impossible to analyze. So what they did is they used AI to actually distill all the data into certain themes, into what was happening, why they were losing people. And what it did is it analyzed it by segment, and then it suggested, okay, here are some benefits you need to look at in this segment. And what they
Oh
found
wow.
is that their software engineers, they were having lots of basically numbers in terms of voluntary attrition. They were like 15% voluntary attrition
Wow.
within Mercado. So what it said is the AI said, listen, you should look at using a pilot of a work manure program. They launched it, and it moved voluntary attrition from 15% to 4%. And now 74% of the developers are planning to stay with the company for more than 3 years. So
Wow.
again, you
Wow.
look at this again. Many of the software engineers, they actually are in this case they were based in Latin America, but they wanted to go back and visit their families abroad, for example, or just travel and mix work and leisure. I mean, if you take the U.S., you get 15 days PTO. If you could say to somebody, allow you get 30 days work from anywhere, where you still need to be just as productive, you need to be on it, but we'll allow you work with your family at home, abroad, whatever it might be, for example. Like, that's amazing. And they can still keep their 15 days PTO to do their normal, whatever they want. That's a pretty
Wow.
powerful benefit.
That's awesome. Yeah. All right. So, what's your take on workcation policies or digital nomads from a payroll perspective? You think most companies are ready?
I think the first thing to mention is yeah, it's not for everyone. Work monitor is not for everyone. Some companies that are very heavily regulated, very conservative,
Yeah, they
will
don't
look
like
at
it.
it.
Yep.
Other companies that they're not feeling the pressure from the competitive market and the war for talent. If you find it's really easy to get talent, you're not going to be pushed to invest in something like this. But I will say, upwards of 50% of companies now absolutely looking at this. And how they're doing it is that they're, first of all, kind of that mixture between the right policy, the right people, and the right technology. So for the right policy, what you need is you need to make sure that you have a really clearly communicated policy, that very clear menu of countries, and there'll be a bunch of red countries, countries that we're never going to allow, maybe countries that have got wars going on or sanctions lists or IT data security. So you'll work cross-functionally with different teams to say these are countries that we're never going to allow. But then within that framework, then you'll say, okay, we're going to allow people to work to maybe up to maybe 30 days a year or 60 or even up to 90 days a year work from anywhere. But
Wow.
then that's where let's say on the people side, you need to train your team internally, your payroll team, and your mobility team, and have the advisors to help you support complex cases. Again, that's where the technology comes in. It kind of links the kind of the people and the policy piece of it, where you can assess, you can put your kind of policy into the technology, have your rules in there, very easy to do, and then assess the cases on a case by case basis. And that allows you to communicate to the employee, say, look, you requested this, we can't do it, here's why. But maybe if you request a lower number of days or a different country, here's how we can make it possible. So it's the kind of that beautiful mix and intersection between the policy, the people, and the technology. That's where the companies that really make it work.
Amazing. Amazing. So what's next, man? What's on the roadmap for work from anywhere?
Well, we've got some extremely exciting partnerships we're going to be announcing over the next
Amazing.
couple of months, including in the payroll space. So stay
Ooh,
tuned. Stay tuned.
Yes.
We've got
can't
some
wait.
very, very exciting announcements there. But for us, the biggest one as well is what we're seeing is the shift in that in the US in particular was actually lagging Europe when it comes to work from anywhere. And I think Europe
Mm,
and Asia and Latin America were actually further ahead than the US, believe it or not.
wow.
Wow.
Because I think in the US, I think there wasn't the same appetite to travel across different countries, or maybe the mobility functions weren't used to doing it, or payroll functions weren't used to seeing it as much. Whereas in the last
Definitely
six
not.
months, I'm definitely seeing a lot more of this. I'm starting to
Oh,
see, yeah, I saw what you saw in the US. You had some of the most innovative companies, the early adopters were there, but there was the laggards of 90% were slower to recognize that this is an opportunity. Whereas we're starting to see now that in the US, there's a recognition that look at all of our workplaces, how many people in the US are actually born abroad, that maybe
yep.
do have family abroad. Going to be a lot of people, or maybe how many of the younger generation in particular want to go and just travel. Just
Yeah.
travel for a couple of
Oh,
months,
definitely.
explore, mix it up, stay
Yep.
productive, stay working, but just travel and explore the world a bit. So we're seeing different segments where this is becoming something that is pushed on and requested, and also seeing an openness to the companies that have done this. It's been the top three employee benefit across the board and seen
Wow.
outstanding results. I have not spoken to one company who implemented this and said it didn't work well or it was a disaster. So that's exciting.
Wow. I
That's
love it.
amazing.
I love it. Well, look, before we let you go, what do you want? What do you wish every corporate or payroll leader knew about the cross-border work?
Well, I think importance of permanent establishment. It actually comes up as the biggest risk. When we did a white paper a couple of years ago amongst payroll, it was recognized the biggest risk is permanent establishment. And unfortunately, when it comes to temporary or permanent remote work, hiring from anywhere, we see that that's the biggest gap. We see a lot of people use employers of record, for example, that don't recognize that permanent establishment, which is essentially your corporate tax residency, is something that can fall through the gaps, and it has huge consequences if you get it wrong. And it's the same also for temporary remote work. But the good thing is that you can have solutions with the right policy, the right technology to surmount that. But I think so. There's kind of that education, understanding that, and the risk piece. But then the other piece of it, and I would say also I think needs more discussion, is that this is one of the big benefits, and it's time to come to the table. If you
Heck
haven't been
yeah.
looking at this,
I love
get
it.
on the case and recognize that it's your peers have implemented, and they'll show you how it's done.
I love it.
Nice. So where can they find out more about your software, about you? Tell us.
Yeah. The great thing is that they can visit the website wfa.team, wfa.team. And the good news is if they happen to have a case come in from an employee and they want to run a scenario, we actually have a free trial. They can go
Ooh,
directly onto the website, run a couple of scenarios. My one ask is please give us feedback. One of the reasons why we've won the most awards globally in this space in the last year is because we thrive on feedback. So have a free trial. It might save you a couple of $1,000 of going to external tax
that's
advisors.
right.
And please let us know the feedback. We'd love to hear.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
What one more thing before we let you go, we'd like to play a quick game with folks just to get something beyond the work piece. It's called this or that. You can choose one or the other, both, neither, whatever you
Yeah.
like. Walt, you want to start them off and I'll finish it off?
Sure. It's so funny that you said that you're going out on a
Yep.
air day.
I thought you did it after you said it too. No?
No.
Oh, go. Yeah. So we already know
So,
the answer, but go ahead.
so would you prefer sushi or surf and turf?
Ooh, sushi.
Sushi. All right. In terms of living in these
That's a
areas,
good
do
one.
you prefer living in Europe or Asia?
Ooh, living in Europe but going on holidays to Asia. Yeah,
Ooh.
thankful for
Ooh,
home for this. Yeah.
Good.
nice.
And then my last one, in terms of the languages that you speak, I'm assuming here, so correct me if I mention one that you don't speak. Do you prefer speaking French or Spanish?
I prefer French, but
Really?
a funny story on the language piece of it. When I moved to the Netherlands, it's one of the senior trying to learn the language. I put a big effort into it, and I'd spoken German, was fluent in German, but then moved over trying to learn Dutch. And I said after like a year and a half, I'm getting confident now. I'm going to try and start writing emails. And I said to one of the finance directors of the big divisions, I said to him something like, "Heb je het goed gehoord?" or something tied to the weekend, and it basically meant, "Did you prostitute well at the weekend?"
Oh
Oh,
my
And it's like, so
God.
oh my
I
God.
have won a Global Academy Awards for putting my foot for a language perspective. Yeah.
Oh my
Oh, I
gosh.
love
Thank
that's
you for
one of the
sharing that.
best
That's
stories.
amazing.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. Oh, here's a easy one. Excel or Google Sheets?
Google Sheets, so
Really?
don't put
Okay.
me near Excel. No, 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 no. Excel or Teams. Get a,
No Teams.
I will send a bomb over any Teams.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think I nearly broke the laptop last night trying to get to Teams.
Oh,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Especially
Teams
when
is
you
so good.
use different platforms on one app. They
Yeah,
just
yeah.
hate, like
They
the
hate. They
laptop
don't
hates
like
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Apparently,
exactly. That's
if you
crazy.
stay on one, it's all good. They
It's
won't
fine.
behave themselves.
Yes.
Whichever one you don't use, it's probably for the Teams users. They use Google Meet and they tear their hair out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
All right. Do you prefer presenting or learning?
Learning. Yeah,
Huh?
I love learning.
Yes. Last one. A mountain retreat or an island retreat?
Island retreat. I get my spiritual energy from the water, be it lakes or the
A
sea.
lot of
Yeah.
people say that. My wife is the same way. I love it. Man,
Awesome.
John, amazing guest, man. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you
Yes.
enjoy your date night with your wife. Walt is gonna leave us with a quote
Yes.
before you go.
Ingenuity plus courage plus work equals miracles. Bob
Oh, I love
Richards.
that. I love that one.
Awesome.
I love that one.
Awesome. Man, and folks, go check out John Lee. It was WFA.team.
WFA.team, TEAM.
Dot
That's
team.
it. That's it. Yeah.
Awesome. And please like, share, subscribe. Again, if you're interested in John Lee's product, it's a free trial. You save some
Yes.
money there. And we love you. Until the next time, folks. Have a good one.